Okay, recording this video Sunday, 1st July 2012, Chicago time. It's actually Monday morning here in Sydney, Australia. Hope you're having a good weekend. And on Wednesday's video I said I was looking forward to a little bit more volatility coming out of the Euro summit, and of course was totally stunned and amazed by the volatility we actually got. 1310 we kind of held and ran up to almost 1360 with Friday's activity all in the space of 24 hours, a 50-point move, just unbelievable. And I suppose I'm sitting here thinking, well, am I just a complete idiot, and just didn't see that this was, the beginning of the next up leg, and this thing is going to continue on up, and my bearish kind of stance has just been totally wrong over the last several weeks, and that I couldn't see the bottom forming in the beginning of a new bull up leg. Or was this just some kind of crazy short covering rally that's all going to reverse in the course of the next week or so, and then we're going to go to new lows. And I have to tell you, I'm kind of sitting on the second kind of argument. I think this was just some kind of crazy short covering rally, but I have to show you my charts to kind of explain why I think that's the case, rather than this is the beginning of the next bull up leg. But if you're a bull and you're listening to this, just stop listening now. Just turn the video off, go away, do something useful on your Sunday evening, rather than listen to me kind of drone on about the bear kind of story. Let's just go through the charts and I'll kind of show you what I'm seeing. So here's Friday's activity: 1.9 million contracts traded, kind of an exhaustion up bar. We've not kind of cracked through this resistance level, so it's potentially a little bit of a double top pattern kind of rolling over. Now next week we've got July 4th. Coming into July 4th, it's into all holidays, we always tend to be a little bit bullish, so I think Monday, Tuesday is going to have a little bit more up legs. If this is a real up move, kind of getting going, what we will see over the course of the next few days is consistently higher highs and higher lows kind of being made forward. We'll creep up to 1380, and then we'll have a real go through 1400 into a new kind of up leg. So we'll have a series of bars where the professionals buy all the lows, use this as an opportunity to get in at any kind of weakness and just continually drive the market up, and we'll have a whole series of kind of running stops and so on kind of going up, and we'll have a series of little, there'll be almost like a gathering type series of bars then ready for an explosive move up. If that's the uptrend kind of scenario. If it's not, what we'll see just kind of wavering around these lows. We'll eventually close this low, and 1310 is basically the line in the sand, because at 1310 that was when the good news kind of came out and we couldn't get through. If we head back down to 1310 and look like we're going to close below 1310, then this thing's all over, and all the bullishness is out of the market. But from my perspective, I think what we've just seen is an exhaustion in terms of selling activity and a short covering rally, kind of fairly explosive short covering rally kind of going the other way. So we've got July 4th coming out this week on Wednesday. Monday's going to be probably a little bit of continuation. Everybody's going to jump on board, the big names, Apple and so on. Tuesday we've got a half day. Wednesday is July 4th, so we're going to be shut, and then Thursday, Friday is going to be really light volume. So this next week is going to be fairly odd in the first place, and if we just see this thing bobbling around and kind of going nowhere, then potentially in the following week we could see the gap being filled and kind of going the other way, and maybe some stories out of Europe saying that the promises made can't be filled, and whatever real kind of rational discussion of what happened at the summit. But if this beginning of the next up leg, just look for continually higher highs this week, and then we'll kind of set off after July 4th into a real up leg. But let me just go through some more charts. This is one of the reasons why I still think this is kind of short covering rally. We're going to turn around, a bit of a double top after this week's activity, and kind of head back down. I mean, we've had a bit of a classic pattern on the daily chart: continuous contract, exhaustion buying, bearish divergence, then we put in pullback to end of trend, a flush buying pattern, and we roll over. We kind of came into blue fresh professional bars kind of picking up this low kind of down here, but we've not had exhaustion selling on the downside, and we always see exhaustion selling at the end of a downtrend move. Downtrends tend to be far more explosive on the downside, and we have more extreme kind of volume patterns, and we haven't seen that. So we're kind of coming back up. We made another flush pattern, another bearish divergence pattern on this last little leg here, and you can see that the better momentum is showing a little weaker in terms of buying here. I know it looked like an explosive move on Friday, and certainly kind of gamed and got gapped up. A lot of stops ran, but it wasn't kind of explosive in terms of setting new highs or looking like it was setting new highs. So I'll be looking at this kind of better momentum reading as this week kind of progresses. Whether this just kind of rolls over as to a weaker level, like here we put in another bearish divergence signal, which would set us up for a kind of break below 1310. On the long-term chart, 40,500 tip bar chart, and this is why I was kind of bearish coming into. I thought the Euro summit would end with just deadlock, and the Germans wouldn't move on anything, and just with no good news would be bad news for the market, and we'd crack through 1310, kind of head to the downside. So, this is Friday's activity, Thursday's activity, Wednesday's activity, and so we set off into a down move. Falling through the ice here, blue professional bars through this support level, bang, got this move going. We came back up, tested this kind of level. Blue professional bar kind of comes in right at where we had the professionals kind of selling down here, and then coming back, we didn't have blue professional bars, with the professionals kind of picking up down at the bottoms here. We came back up to Wednesday's trade into this zone around here where we kind of been selling. The professionals have been selling down. We had all these blue professionals bars kind of come in, and then Thursday's activity we got whacked, and we came into support level. It was bullish divergence kind of coming in here, but it's not a classic kind of bottoming pattern in terms of blue professional bars kind of picking it up here. And then with the overnight activity and the news out of Europe, you didn't need many, kind of the tape was really light. It was all kind of amateur up bars on the lower time frame charts kind of getting this thing going. So some smart people kind of just running stops, moving this through a 20-point kind of or a 10-15 point range here, just caused this thing to kind of go into a spasm, into a short covering rally. But now we've had exhaustion buying on the upside, and all the blue professional bars have come back in at this previous kind of high level. But we have to make all of our kind of pullback to end of trend moves all over again in order for this to be topping out. So that's what I'll be looking for during this week, this July 4th kind of week. On the 4,500 tip bar chart, you can see all this exhaustion volume going on here. Blue professional bars kind of coming into the close of Friday's trade. We need to see a pullback to end of trend. We got one kind of earlier in the day, but it didn't come with any exhaustion pattern on the left shoulder. So this thing just kept on going, broke through another resistance level. So another kind of opportunity to make pullback to end of trend with exhaustion buying patterns on the left shoulder. On the 13,500 tip bar chart, again, then we're going to have to go through pullback to end of trend sequence on this chart. We got this exhaustion buying activity and blue professional bars on the left shoulder here. So just look out for that on this week's activity. If all we do is just move around these highs and kind of go not much of anywhere during this week's activity, then we'll kind of roll over and go through 1310 and really have that crack to the downside. So let me just go through some more charts, just showing why I think this is a short covering rally. So on the Euro chart, on the weekly chart, and so the weekly chart's what I'm looking for, changes in trend, and what I look for in a change of trend is a divergence pattern before this kind of sets off. So we've had pullback to end of trend and exhaustion selling on the downside here. So although in terms of price patterns we've exhausted on the downside here, we also ran out of sellers at this point. So blue professional bars kind of coming into the lows here. So we could have a short covering rally based on running out. With all the sellers have sold at this point. But in terms of a change in trend, I'd need to see a bullish divergence pattern before calling it a change in the trend in the euros. So on the weekly charts, we could be seeing just another kind of resistance to support type move, and then we'll see kind of what happens, whether we break that support level and kind of continue down, or we put in a bullish divergence pattern and kind of head on the way up. But the point I want to make here is that we've got exhaustion selling on the downside on all of these risk on charts, on the weekly charts. That basically means all the sellers have sold, and so we've just run out of sellers for the meantime. On the risk on charts, this is dollar index, same kind of deal. So extreme kind of buying here, exhaustion buying. So we just temporarily ran out of buyers at this point here. Resistance kind of coming on the weekly chart. On the Aussie chart, again, kind of all the sellers have sold, and so this is just temporarily, I think, a short covering rally going on. Crude, we didn't have an exhaustion selling signal down here, but the reading was pretty extreme here. We've not seen blue professional bars kind of come in at these lows, though previously they did come in at this level kind of down here that we bounced from. And so again, it wasn't exhaustion selling. You tend to see more exhaustion selling signals on the downside than on the upside. So because we've had this in the background, need to see one of those kind of on crude. Copper, same thing, exhaustion selling. So temporarily ran out of sellers at this point. Blue professional bars kind of come in here, and it's almost like a double bottom type, approaching these levels. But at this time, we've made more selling kind of coming into these lows at this point here. So change in trend. I need to see bullish divergence signals. We're not seeing that. Gold, we've not seen exhaustion selling on the downside. We're below support here, so I still think we're on a downtrend on gold. And this is, I suppose, the only fly in the ointment is bonds. Bonds, here we've got exhaustion buying after pullback to end of trend, and we had exhaustion buying on the left-hand shoulder here. Bearish divergence kind of come in, pullback to end of trend, blue professional bars, whole heap of blue professional bars. And on the daily chart here, it was almost like a exponential move here with all these blue professional bars, exhaustion buying, and we kind of had, I said during this week, these kind of amateur up bars into pullback to a potentially end of trend or dirty end of trend signal here. It's kind of weak. So this could mean that there's going to be a conversation about debt ceiling in the US, and rates will start to move up, and potentially the story starts to move away from Europe to the US in terms of those discussions. Back again, just had TradeStation refresh my charts anyway. So just looking at the commitment of traders numbers, the commitment of traders really haven't kind of reversed their positions. Not seeing a lot of kind of bullish divergence signals on the risk on charts or bearish divergence on the risk off. So there's kind of a continuation of what we've been seeing in the last few weeks, setting up for a potential downtrend. So this is the weekly chart on the SP, and just have to be wary a little bit. The commitment of traders numbers, although the numbers are published on the Friday, they're actually based on data from the professionals on the Tuesday. So there's a little bit of a delay on the commitment of traders numbers. So I suppose need to see next week's numbers to be kind of more certain about what the professionals were kind of doing into this kind of Friday type of Euro Summit releases. But anyway, so in terms of the SP chart, we've got the bearish divergence signals are still in the background, and we're kind of rolling back down a little bit in terms of commitment of traders kind of down here. So it's not as if we were putting in necessarily bullish divergence signals here. Crude, same thing. The last signal was a bearish divergence. We've kind of been rolling down on crude. Euro, same thing. If this was the bottom kind of going in, we'd been seeing more divergence here in terms of the commitment of traders numbers, like we'd have seen here or here. At that kind of a bottom. So if we had a real bottom being made in the euro, that's what we would have seen, not this. This is kind of an equal amount of kind of trading by the professionals on the way down. So it's not setting up for a bullish divergence pattern, I would suggest, like that. Copper, same deal. It's like we're pointing the other way. For a bullish divergence signal, we need to see that type of thing kind of going on. So not kind of convincing there. Bonds, 30-year bonds. I mean, I know we've got kind of end of trend patterns kind of going off, but the way the professionals are positioned, it's as if the rally's going to continue. Dollar index, again, if that was the end, if we were seeing kind of bearish divergence signals kind of lining up, that's the type of pattern that we'd be seeing in the commitment of traders numbers here. But we're not. We're seeing kind of level pegging here in terms of commitment of traders, not bearish divergence signals kind of lining up here. So again, commitment of traders numbers just don't suggest to me that there's a major kind of change in trend happening on, and the risk on chart's going to continue on up. So take what you will from this. I think next week we're just going to be laboring around this kind of level. I mean, if we just keep on blasting through and higher highs and continuously on each day's trade on next week, then this is the beginning of a new uptrend, and we'll see 1400 broken, and it's kind of we're away to the races. But personally, I think this had more of a short covering rally flavour to it, And when I look at what the professionals are doing in these long-term tip frame charts, they're using this opportunity to kind of get positioned here. And they weren't getting in at these lows. They weren't saying, this is it. This is, we've had our exhaustion selling, and this is all over, and we're going to have good news out of Europe, and this is going to get blast away to the upside. I think they were a little bit kind of taken by surprise. But now we're back up here in the 1350s. They're using the opportunity to kind of take positions, get short again. So we'll see. I feel a little bit foolish having been so bearish. But that's what the market is there to do, is to make you feel like a fool. So it's doing its job, and I'm feeling what I'm feeling. So I hope this video helps you a little bit. Head down, kind of look for my 4-point trades, and just kind of play the game over the next couple of weeks, and just see how the market kind of turns out. I hope you traded well last week, and I hope you're looking forward to, if you've got plans over July 4th weekend and celebrating it, I hope you have a great July 4th this week.